And away we go. It's just me at the moment, as always. I'm not sure if Eric or Risk are going to join, but if they're unable to show up, well, the show must go on. Where we are now, it used to be my house, and we used to have a big football field, Cargo said, but the water destroyed everything. Over the past 5 years, the 35-year-old fisherman has seen the losses pile up as the rising Atlantic waters, which threatens millions across his Western African nation, have claimed enormous portions of his island. The inhabitants of Yengai, located in the Turtle Islands of southern Sierra Leone, have made virtually no contribution to global warming, driven by humanity's burning of fossil fuels. Yet they are widely considered the country's first people displaced by climate change, as the ever hotter temperatures melt more of the Earth's ice caps, swelling the seas around the archipelago. It is so sad and very unfortunate for people to live in such dire conditions, even through circumstances that are way beyond their control. But surely enough, in the next few years, somehow, it's not going to be mainstream, but there will be a handful of people that will conduct research and establish some kind of project or multiple projects into tackling the erosion of islands and archipelagos. Although islands are at threat and the waves are eating up the shores, not all hope is lost. There is a chance for these people to continue living their lives where they are now, without having to worry about circumstances beyond their control. Hopefully something like that will come about sooner than expected, but it will take a while, and there's still going to be talks all over the world about this. New evidence suggests Neanderthals were rendering fat from the crushed animal bones around 125,000 years ago in the Neumark Nord region of Germany, as indicated by new archaeological research published in Science Advances. This finding shows that Neanderthals used fat extraction much earlier than modern humans, who have been using the process for at least 28,000 years. The extra calories from bone-derived grease were vital to human evolution, potentially increasing lifespan and reproduction. The research suggests that fat extraction may have saved Neanderthals from risks associated with their largely meat-based diet, which posed dangers like protein poisoning. Now that is very interesting. It kind of makes sense, actually, if not a lot more sense. Where would we be today if it wasn't for that small detail in species evolution? Now, I wonder, what's going to happen to humans in the next hundreds or thousands of years? There is so much. Well, actually, not really, because we can't be too sure until humans of today, as of this recording, compared to humans in the next couple decades. No, not a couple decades. Next couple centuries, or even a millennium or two. If humans are still going to be alive by that point. There is so much that anyone can make a guess at regarding what our bodies would look like. Are there any organs that may not exist in the next thousands or millions of years? But one thing's for sure, evolution comes down to the way of life and how society has progressed since then. I think at this point now, whatever evolution comes about next, it will be mainly impacted by the conveniences that we have today, especially technology, and of course, dare I say, artificial intelligence. So, who knows what's going to happen in evolution terms, but hopefully, they're mostly good. Not always, but I hope that is the case. one can hope. Meta poaches Apple AI leader for super intelligence push. And not this again. Roming Kang, Apple's top AI models executive, announced his departure to join Meta's new super intelligence lab in July 2025. Kang's exit follows internal morale issues and a shift to a distributed management structure after previous concentrated leadership under him. At Apple, Kang led a 100-person foundation models team underpinning Apple Intelligence, while Meta concurrently hired other prominent AI experts. Meta offered Kang a multi-million-dollar package amid a broader recruitment drive, adding startups, founders, and researchers from OpenAI and Anthropic. Kang's departure signals ongoing talent competition in AI and may foreshadow further Apple AI team exits as Apple struggles to match rivals' capabilities. Now, reading all of that reminds me so much of the soccer football transfer windows. Like, whenever we hear that a soccer football player from Germany or England are perhaps moving to another club and some tens of millions of pound, dollar, euro deal that's in place, and that contract they'll have with their new club will last until 2028. This is no different here. This story is giving soccer football transfer window energy, and this is only the beginning. This is the tip of the iceberg. We're literally in the infancy of AI experts and other researchers in the technology sector possibly going to other companies to contribute towards the evolution of artificial intelligence in the next forthcoming years. If we're getting more stories like this in the next few years, we better brace ourselves for what the future of technology is going to be like. Outside of sports, especially soccer, football, you do not hear stories like this very often. You don't hear about you don't hear particular individuals being signed on to be part of an organization for millions of dollars, and once it's done, we're going to have more stories regarding said individual and their contribution with their new organization. This is the first. And although I am very skeptical and concerned about artificial intelligence, I am excited to see what stories people will come up with next regarding different AI experts and researchers. Where will they go and what they're going to do? And looking at polymarket, looking to see which company has the best AI model up until whatever time frame, like best AI model of July or best AI model of 2025. Man, that's just wild. This is only the beginning. I don't think many people are ready to hear out what technology is going to be, and the people involved, allegedly going to be involved. Former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak takes job at Goldman Sachs. Actually, I'm not that surprised. On July 8th, 2025, Goldman Sachs announced the appointment of Rishi Sunak, the former UK Prime Minister, to a senior advisory role within the firm. Sunak stepped down from his roles as Prime Minister and head of the Conservative Party following a significant electoral defeat to Labour in the previous year. Sunak will advise Goldman Sachs clients globally on macroeconomic and geopolitical matters while working with the firm leaders. Goldman CEO David Solomon said Sunak will offer valuable viewpoints and expertise on key global issues. Sunak's appointment marks his first major role since politics, with restrictions barring lobbying or advising on foreign governments for 1 year. Okay, yeah, that's understandable. Barring from 1 year with foreign governments makes a lot of sense, mainly because, well, he was previously a UK Prime Minister, so that's going to tie in with conflict of interest talks and discussions. and other related issues. Now, I can't say he's done a good job during his time as Prime Minister, but it could have been worse, in my opinion. I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but in my opinion, I think it could have been worse. So, glad that a lot of people and even the UK economy is still functioning, even with, well, whatever is going on. Again, I'm not attacking anyone or anything, just saying that no matter how bad things get, things will get better. And if things still get worse, well, there's no later time to prepare ourselves for the worst. Pearl Jam drummer Matt Cameron says he's leaving the band after nearly 30 years. Matt Cameron, longtime drummer for Pearl Jam, announced on July 7th, 2025 that he is leaving the band after 27 years. 1998, Cameron became a member of Pearl Jam after being invited by Jeff Ament, Stone Gossard, Ed Vedder, and Mike McCready, stepping in to replace drummer Jack Irons, who departed the band because of health-related concerns. He played on all Pearl Jam albums, starting with 1998's Yield and continued through the Grammy-nominated 2024 release Dark Matter, while also participating in the supporting tour. In his farewell message, Cameron reflected on nearly 3 decades with Pearl Jam and expressed deep appreciation for the fans, crew, and his bandmates, as he announced his departure from the group. Pearl Jam described Cameron's tenure as a deeply important chapter, wished him well, and have not yet named a replacement for the drummer. Wow. 27 years. I'm not sure if it's a long time or just a normal lifespan for any band member, for any band. But wow, when he joined, I wasn't even born yet. I don't think many people in school or even university were even born yet. Yeah, that's crazy. Absolutely wild. But hopefully, whatever happens next, good things come about, and they should. But if not, well, they'll come around eventually, just when we least expect it. Italian police arrest Chinese national wanted by FBI for alleged industrial espionage. A man named Siwei Shu was arrested in Milan on July 3rd after US authorities issued a warrant for his arrest due to his alleged involvement in cyber espionage. Zhu is accused of being a member of Silk Tycoon and of spying on vaccine development at the University of Texas during the COVID-19 pandemic, as alleged by US authorities. Zhu is linked to Hafnium, a group previously tracked for cyber attacks against US computers and networks. Zhu is currently detained in Busto Arsizio prison, while the US seeks his extradition for trial. Wow. COVID. No, forget COVID. Cyber espionage. Now, people don't know what that is or why it's a big deal. But it's still a big deal. Who is to think or expect anything from it? You gotta be careful, folks. You never know if any of your phones, pads, computers, laptops, they may be tinkered with and fiddled. Okay, maybe not fiddled. That's too weird. Maybe messed about with, because you never know if when our closest personal technology could be under threat or compromised, like we've seen a while ago when billions of passwords from Google have been exposed, at least by the hacker in question, which not many people may not know about. But nonetheless, cyber attacks are no laughing matter. They are serious. You may think it's funny now, but if it happens to you, you won't be laughing now, wouldn't you? That comes to show. You always got to prepare yourselves. And always make sure you put in a very strong password. Well, why do you think passwords are a thing to begin with? AI-powered Rubio impersonator makes calls to foreign ministers, other top officials. Wow. In mid-June 2025, an unidentified individual used AI-generated voice and messages to pose as Secretary of State Marco Rubio, reaching out via the Signal app to a group that included top US government figures and several foreign ministers. This attack followed a pattern of cyber threat campaigns tracked by the State Department, including a separate Russia-linked spear phishing effort targeting think tanks and activists earlier in April. The impersonator set up a Signal account using the name marco.rubio@state.gov and left voicemails as well as text messages targeting multiple individuals outside the department, including US politicians and foreign ministers, with the intent of accessing sensitive information or accounts. A communication from the State Department issued on July 3rd instructed diplomatic missions to alert the partners about fraudulent impersonations and confirmed that the FBI is actively investigating the matter, while the department committing to a comprehensive review and enhanced protective measures. This incident highlights increased risks from AI-enabled impersonations and ongoing concerns over secure communications, prompting warnings against using apps like Signal for sensitive government business. Well, that's not a good look. That's not a good look at all. Someone is going to have to figure something out. Because if this keeps happening, can we trust the government anymore? Okay, I don't think many people trust the government at all to begin with, but more people are going to be asking questions. And when they do, who's going to stop them? The technology these days, as advanced as they are and in incredible capabilities, they're scary. They are absolutely frightening. They can do anything. And we wouldn't even notice. EU courts say France can fine climate activists who stole portraits of Macron. The European Court of Human Rights has rejected the appeals of environmental activists convicted of removing presidential portraits in 2019 to denounce the state's inaction in the fight against climate change. It thus confirms the idea that civil disobedience can be punishable. In a ruling handed down Thursday, July 3rd, the European Court of Human Rights rejected the appeal of a dozen French environmental activists who were fined for group theft after removing a portrait of President Macron from town halls in 2019. The decision marks a step backward in the recognition of the right to civil disobedience. It has to be asked, what's the point in stealing artwork to begin with? What does that achieve? I'm not against it. I'm not going to argue against doing such actions. I'm just saying, what's the purpose? What do you gain from that? Personally, I don't see any benefit whatsoever, other than getting media attention, which is very effective. But media attention is not enough. And it's certainly not enough if there isn't a clear message or as well as a clear reason for doing this. I just see as people just desperate for attention. It works most of the time, but that's just it. If more stories like this keep happening, people are just going to be like, oh, okay, it's nothing. It's that no one gives a damn. People just got to stop caring about such serious issues. And if something serious does happen, and then out of habit, which has been forced over time, people will do like, whatever. That's a completely separate issue altogether, from my perspective. Whilst there will be people trying to get a rise out of others and trying to get attention, which is guaranteed to work, we have to be cautious because you never know if something serious happens, and then you just dust it off like, oh, this is a normal day in the life. No, it's not a normal day in the life. This is serious. You may not care about it now, but what would happen if it happens to you? Would you still care then? They probably will, because it's their problem now. But yeah, it's an outrage. At worst. An update to Grok. Elon Musk's AI chatbot has led to more answers negative of Democrats, acceptance of the R word, and anti-Semitic claims, according to users. The change comes after some users complained about the AI chatbot being too woke or promoting left-leaning ideology. Before the recent update, Grok was reported to censor unfavorable details about Musk, reference white genocide without a prompt, and expressed skepticism regarding the number of Jewish people killed in the Holocaust. Look, I will say this. Why do people trust AI? Yeah, it's smart and you will get the answer that you want, but there is another question that has to be asked. What prompts are people giving to these chatbots to get the answer they want? You can have a very precise, detailed prompt that gets you a niche, specific, tailored, detailed answer that gives you all the answers that you possibly could have asked, you could possibly ask for. But relying on AI chatbots alone is not enough. Now, I'm not going to argue, not going to say that they're wrong, but if you're literally arguing with artificial intelligence about what questions you're asking it, that's just embarrassing. Why on earth people are arguing with artificial intelligence? Is this what society has come to? I hope not. What was life like before artificial intelligence? The likes of ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, or even DeepSeek, dare I say. The last time I remember what life was like before chatbots, AI chatbots, you just go onto Google, search something up on the search engine, and find whatever articles are most relevant to you. That is it. That's what I can remember before people heard about. That's what I can recall. Getting information before ChatGPT became mainstream, and something that should be mentioned whilst I was scrolling through social media, I came across one of those videos talking about websites that you should probably know, or at least something that's illegal to know, part something. And one of these videos was this. There was this website where you can type any request you like, and then there's a generated response at rapid time. People say it's more advanced than Google, or at least gives you answers faster than Google. What I'm talking about is ChatGPT. I first discovered and found out about ChatGPT before it even went mainstream. I think I was like 2 weeks into using ChatGPT because of how advanced it is. And then by that point, after 2 weeks of finding that out, everyone was discovering that there was this website called ChatGPT. Everyone started using it and got all the answers they like. And oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's wild. And no, I didn't stop with ChatGPT being the first to find out about it. There is another AI chatbot called DeepSeek. Again, through another such videos discussing websites you should know or websites that are illegal to know. There is this website similar to ChatGPT called DeepSeek. It has this function where you can deep research. It actually takes time to think and give you a more detailed response. I found out about DeepSeek 3 to 4 days. No, actually, between 3 days to a week before people found out about DeepSeek. So what does that tell you? Well, firstly, I find out about new technology before they even go mainstream. And secondly, when people do find out about said technology, well, people are just going to use it for their own personal gains. Now that is a problem, but what does become a problem is if those said personal gains makes you lazy and become highly dependent. If that was taken away from you right now, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? You're basically stuck if that's the only lifeline in society that you have to get through life. And this is exactly the point I'm making. Of course, the reason why I'm concerned about AI in general as good as they are, do not use them as central to your life, because you never know if that was going to get. What if it gets taken away from you? It's probably not going to happen. But hypothetically, one day, governments around the world, and even the UN, for some reason, they say we are forbidding, we're signing an order against artificial intelligence, and all of a sudden, snap, the AI, as we know it, has disappeared. How different will your life be now? That is the question everyone should be asking. Not just with AI, but just with anything in life generally. Because a lot of things affect our life in many ways, like using our phones, smartwatches, smart TVs, using public transit. There's so many things that we use in our life, and if even one of them is taken away, how different will your life be if that hadn't have existed to begin with? These are questions we should really ask ourselves as often as we can. Princess Kate stuns in Dior debut, honors Diana and France with elegant nod at start of Macron's state visit. On July 8th, 2025, Prince William and Kate Middleton welcomed the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, along with his spouse, Bridget, to the United Kingdom during a state visit at RAF, Northolt, and Windsor Castle. The visit provided the context for Kate's first public appearance wearing Dior, marking a deliberate shift from her usual designers to honor French fashion heritage. Kate wore a pale pink 30 Moderne blazer from Dior's 2024 lineup, a modern take by Maria Grazia Chiuri on Christian Dior's iconic 1947 design. She complemented the jacket with a matching pleated tulle skirt, a blush hat by Jess Collett, Princess Diana's pearl drop earrings, and Queen Elizabeth's three-strand pearl necklace. The ensemble symbolized sartorial diplomacy linked royal legacy and French culture, while reinforcing Kate's role as Princess of Wales during the Macron visit. Now that is a statement right there, and I'm not too fussed about dropping the designers involved. Like, I mean, you have to get your name somewhere to get recognition for the work you've done. But anyway, I think all I can say is that is that's a good that's brilliant to see that there is consideration and effort to acknowledging the heritage and the culture of the country's world leader that it is visiting the said nation. So that's pretty cool, I guess. I just want to see more state visits like that more often. It's not likely that's going to happen every time, but it's nice to see that there's at least acknowledgement. Because if you're visiting a country, there has to be an understanding and acknowledge the culture that a country has. And that is it. And that's one of them. I like it. I think the same could be said if someone from the UK was to visit another country, like maybe a reference to British culture. Now that I would like to see. That would be brilliant. Because it just shows that, look, we may not get along, we may have our differences, but at least you have good stuff. You have very notable people, you make very gorgeous clothes, and have very, very high quality vehicles. And that's just from the top of my head. There's much more. However, well, I'm running my mouth most of the time. Anyway, that's great. Safe visit. Mostly, most of the time, mostly is a great success. Hopefully this continues. NASA astronaut shares rare picture of Sprite phenomenon from International Space Station. A NASA astronaut captured a rare photo of a giant red sprite over a thunderstorm on July 3rd. Sprites are transistent transient luminous events triggered by intense electrical activity in thunderstorms and occur about 50 miles above the Earth's surface. The image shows a, a sprite with complex shapes over lighting during a thunderstorm. Scientists can use such images to understand the formation and characteristics of sprites and their relationship to thunderstorms. Hello, Eric.
Hey, hello. How you doing?
Great.
Yeah, I just came back from work. So, what are you talking about?
So, NASA astronaut has shared rare photos of sprite phenomenon from International Space Station. Yeah, sprite. No, not the soda. I don't know what to call it, but there's a photo of it. I'll send it in the chat.
No problem. 'Cause when you said Sprite, that's the first thing I thought of, the soda.
Yes. Yeah, I thought so too. Like, how does that make any sense? All right.
It doesn't,
Yeah. Anyway, I've sent it in the chat. This is the
right?
photo in
It
question.
looks absolutely fake. I'm gonna be honest. But if they say it's a phenomenon, it's a phenomenon, I suppose. I don't know. I
Absolutely.
just don't. Yeah, but if it's real, it's real. But to me, I'm gonna be real. It looks fake. It looks like a photo that someone can make. Sorry. It looks like a photo that someone can make themselves in like Photoshop, and I don't know, it just does not look real to me personally, But hey, a phenomenon's a phenomenon, I suppose, and I guess that's
Whatever
it.
gets people talking.
But I suppose it got some people talking, but I don't believe a whole lot. But I'm willing to be proven wrong on that. But hey, that's amazing, I suppose. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
The TSA just quietly ended one of its most annoying rules.
Their most annoying rule?
One of its most annoying rules.
Okay. 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 Which rule did they end quietly?
TSA has begun allowing passengers at select US airports to keep their shoes on during standard security screenings. The change is part of a phased rollout.
Yeah. You were saying that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, is that right? Officials say improved screening tools now allow threat detection without requiring shoe removal. TSA has not issued a formal nationwide announcement. Experts say the change could reduce the value of TSA PreCheck, which previously offered shoe removal exemptions. PreCheck still requires a fee and background check.
Oh, all right. I think I somewhat heard about that on X, and yeah, I would see why that's an annoying rule. It's like who would want to take off their shoes and put them back on all the time? Just to get checked for potential threats. I mean that is kind of annoying. So have you had to do that at one point?
Good question. I feel that's possible, but I don't think I can remember such a time long, long ago. Especially recently when I've gone for summer holidays in Europe or even visiting family in Brazil. I don't think I recall taking my shoes off all that often when going through security check.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna lie. That does sound pretty annoying to do all the time. Take off your shoes, just to get checked. I mean, I don't think I've ever had to do that at all. But yeah, it would be a bit of a inconvenience to just take off your shoes just to see it, just to check for stuff, and then to just put them back on. But you said it was one of their annoying rules. What other annoying rules do they have?
I'm not sure if
If you,
they go into detail about the other annoying rules. They just said that they were just going to get rid of one of the annoying rules that they had.
okay, okay. Well, I'm pretty sure most people will be very comfortable knowing that they no longer have to take off their shoes. So, hey, a win's a win, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. A win's a win, and yeah, at least no one has to no longer be annoyed by that rule of taking off your shoes. But anyway, is there anything else in the news?
Looking good or feeling fine, which is more important?
Feeling fine. I mean, looking good. I would say both are good. I would say both are pretty valid because when it comes to you trying to find a date, then yeah, looking good would be great. Would be great, but you would ultimately want to feel good as well. You would want to feel good because when I said feeling good is better because I was talking in terms of like your general health. Say that.
Information services. Online estimators can be more accurate than you expect. Home value.
That's about it.
All I gotta say is for the people who get hair transplants, and just embrace it. If you're going to go bald, just go bald. At least you can do is embrace it. Now, if you can grow a beard, that's even better. At least that would kind of make up for your lack of hair. But I don't know. I suppose if you're an actor, yeah, sure, get a hair transplant. I wouldn't like because mainly because that would get you more roles and more parts if you had like great hair. Dude, John Cena got a hair transplant. He was going bald. But hey, that's just me. You know, I don't think I'd ever get a hair transplant. Even if you can't grow a good beard, it's like just find a way to look good. Find a way to look good, man. Even if you're bald. Some people willingly go bald, and they can grow hair just fine. But I'm off topic. The point is, I didn't know that people were prioritizing that in general. I was personally speaking on like in terms of health and not being sick, but you know, hair transplant. I don't know, man. I think you can only get that if you're an actor. If you're just a regular dude living, then bro, just embrace going bald. Just embrace being bald. Shoot, you can even be bald as a model. But that's just me. Do you have anything?
No, I don't have much else to say other than the fact that just go with the flow. If it's needed, do it. If not, then just get over it. Just deal with it.
Yeah. Does it last forever, or do you have to constantly just keep going back to like the doctor and kind of getting new, getting something new in your hair so the hair follicles can like? How does a hair transplant even work
Well,
in terms of that?
from the videos on social media I've looked at, and maybe a couple more, and a couple articles, briefly, it works like this. Now, I'm guessing most of the time, you pretty much should get a buzz cut, so it's easier for the experts to kind of pluck out the hair strands from the back of your head. The reason they go for the back of the head, is because they are much fuller and a lot more durable than other hair follicles anywhere else around your head. But first, they put some anesthesia on the back of your head, so when they pluck out the hair strands from the back of your head, you don't feel any pain. You will feel pain afterwards when the anesthesia wears off, but for the time being, for the surgery, they put anesthesia on the back of your head, they pluck out strands of your hair, put it to the side, and then once they got enough hair strands, I think do they put the anesthesia around the front of your hairline as well. So I'm also not sure what else they do next, but what I'm certain they do next is they take the hair strands that they've taken out from the back of your head, and they gently insert them at the front of your head. Now they don't just put hair strands at the front of your head willy nilly. They should get a marker which is safe for your skin. They draw out a defined hairline. Some hairlines for men would be straight, or some would be slightly curved. But one thing for sure, that once they do have an outline drawn, like even before taking the hair strands out from the back of your head, there's a clear defined border between what the hair strands should be in place of, and then what is left of your forehead, which should be free of hair, because you wouldn't put hair follicles all over your face like your Bigfoot, whatever. There has to be a line somewhere. They take the hair follicles and then put them behind a defined marker that's drawn in your head. So when the hair experts put the hair strands around at the front of your head, it's at least within the border they've drawn from the start. Once they have completed the surgery, the hair transplant, I think they think they would either give you a headband or maybe you have a headband of your own, wrap around your head because after the hair transplant, there's going to be lots of blood circulation traveling up to the parts of your head where you got the hair transplant. Now, of course, after the hair transplant, for a couple of days, it's going to be uncomfortable. And this is coming from someone who hasn't even had a hair transplant to begin with. But I know for certain that after the hair transplant, after the anesthesia wears off, parts of your head are going to be very uncomfortable for a couple of days. And in a few days after the transplant, it takes a few days for the skin on your head to cure before you can pick the scabs out, only leaving the hair follicles that have been newly put in place around your head. Now, although it is effective, the hair transplant, what not many people talk about regarding hair transplant is a particular chemical called DHT. I'm not too sure what the full name is, but that's the abbreviation. If there's DHT and strong presence of it around your head, that is the reason people are going bald to begin with. Even after the hair transplant is done, if you still have high levels of DHT around your head, the newly placed hair follicles around your head are just going to go away. So you're pretty much back to where you started, with trying to reverse the balding around your head. It's the DHT in your head, that around your head, that is the problem, which is weakening the hair follicles, hence making most men's head mostly bald.
You know, for a guy who doesn't even have a hair transplant, you know a whole sure for some odd
I sure do.
seriously, how? How do you know all this?
I ask myself the same thing. Then again, I know a lot about Switzerland, their influence around the world, and of course, there's the royal families around World War One, which the whole debacle with royal families in World War One is the reason why World War One to begin with. It was just a family feud amongst royal families. So I know so much somehow, but yeah,
I would just assume you knew well-known people who, maybe, or I would have just assumed that. I didn't even know half of what you said in regards to haircuts.
it's mental.
Yeah, but yeah. Let's, with that being said, let's move on. Anything else in the news?
The EU is increasingly trading with dictators, ECB warns.
Okay.
According to a recent
Sorry.
European Central Bank blog post, the EU is increasingly trading with autocratic regimes, funding militaristic expansion despite sanctions and democratic decline. Since 1999, trade with autocratic regimes increased until EU sanctions on Russia, prompting import reallocation toward less democratic countries amid declining governance quality. Evidence shows that trading with dictators profits regimes with militaristic goals and increases EU reliance on autocratic key resources for green tech. Despite recent sanctions on Russia, EU trade with autocratic regimes has temporarily halted its rise, but long-term risks to the bloc's green goals persists. Even in excluding China, reliance on autocratic regimes for rare earth persists, posing long-term risks to the EU's green transition efforts.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I can't argue about the EU doing deals with countries whose governments aren't all that democratic. I'll be with that. I'll be with them on this one, on that aspect. However, I think this story refers back to the one issue, the reason why we're hearing stories about tariffs and whatnot. You cannot be reliant on bigger nations, especially whose culture and government ideas and viewpoints they do not agree with. Because if you're too reliant on a particular set of countries, and all of a sudden they either pull out or the countries themselves voluntarily don't want to trade with them anymore, what's the backup plan? Or do they have their own sectors? Do they produce products or services of their own within their own borders, besides having to collaborate with other countries to import them into their countries? If the answer is we've been heavily reliant on other countries, we don't have anything ourselves that we produce within our own countries, then they need to really step up the internal trading game. They have to start making their own stuff as soon as possible. Otherwise, the reliance is going to become more solidified to the point anything that's just cut off immediately, either voluntarily or a decision that they believe they don't want to collaborate anymore, that's going to become a problem. And it is going to be a problem if this continues.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's going to be a huge problem if it continues on. If this continues on, we just have to hope that things get fixed sooner than later. So that nothing else escalates for the worst. Yeah, is there anything else?
I'm checking. Swiss village
You're right.
cashes in as tourists pay to visit dock featured in hit K-drama Crash Landing on You.
Oh, cool. Let's hear more about that.
In 2023, the Swiss village of Isseltfeld installed a pay-for-entry turnstile at the lakeside dock featured in the 2020 Netflix series Crash Landing on You. The turnstile was installed to help cover local government expenses following a rise in visitors attracted by the show's depiction of the dock as a scenic and intimate. About 1,000 visitors arrive daily by bus and car, snapping photos and increasing strain on village resources despite limited hotels and restaurants. In 2024, visitor fees generated close to 245,000 Swiss francs, which is about 307,000 US dollars, with the majority of the revenue allocated to upkeep and maintenance, as officials emphasize that the local community does not become wealthy from these funds. The village relies on tourism income for upkeep but faces challenges like visitor misuse of private property and limited infrastructure amid sustained tourist interest.
Wow, that was very long. Yeah, Paul. Yeah, Paul. What is there to say about it? I got nothing. I got nothing. Do you have anything?
No, I don't have much to say. It's nice to see that they're taking advantage of the tourists that are coming in, but of course I understand that there are challenges with tourism in general because, well, it's a small village, of course, so they're not used to big numbers of people. They're not used to high numbers of people in the village at the time each day. So it's understandable that there's a fee have to be charged or a fee to pay to go to that destination because there has to be some kind of revenue that goes towards upkeeping and maintenance of said location because there has to be some kind of maintenance over time if so many people are going to the docks.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, that's all there really is to say about that. I mean, not really much to say about something like but yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Bernard settles suit alleged anti-Semitism, agrees to changes including anti-discrimination official.
Anti-Semitism. Let's hear more about
Last week, Bernard College settled a lawsuit accusing it of ignoring anti-Semitism and agreed to new measures, including enhanced training and protest restrictions. The lawsuit filed February 21st, 2024, and expanded in June, followed campus protests over the Israel-Hamas conflict and alleged rising anti-Semitism at Bernard College. Bernard will establish a dedicated Title VI coordinator, ban masks at protests, and incorporate anti-Semitism education into anti-discrimination training, starting in fall 2025. From fall 2025, the college will implement new policies, including annual zero-tolerance messages and campus-wide enforcement of anti-discrimination measures. Kasowitz noted the settlement sets a precedent, encouraging other universities to adopt similar measures against campus anti-Semitism.
Well, a lawsuit is a serious thing. So, I will say this, whoever simply, there's not really much to say, except whoever's in the right will get exactly what they deserve, and whoever's wrong will get it. If there's anything that can be a precedent that comes from one person, then have it in the past. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Yeah, that's all I got. But yeah, is there anything else you can do?
Alex Jones condemns Trump over Epstein cover-up.
Oh yeah, Trump going. I saw news about Trump going off on this news reporter woman. And, yeah, I think he was just trying to simply forget about it. He wasn't even trying to talk about it. Yeah, Alex Jones supported Trump all the way. Trump's trying to cover it up. Makes you think a lot.
It sure does.
Island was Trump on that. His Flintstone vitamin.
Trying to be hip with the young generation.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. That's pretty good. That's actually better than what I was gonna say. I was legitimately close to making a Flintstone joke. I don't know. That's what I was trying to do. But yeah, was Trump trying to get hip with the young generation?
Yes.
In a closer way than any adult should get hip?
In a way that makes it in a manner that's in a relationship that is more than just friends. But that is it. That's as far as they can go.
In a manner that is more than just your role.
More than just a father, and more than friends.
More than friends, more than a father, more than a cool uncle, more than a godfather, a god uncle. Was Trump trying to get his Flintstone? Actually, no, I'm not even gonna do the Flintstone thing. You get what I'm trying to say. Alright, yeah, that's as far as
we get the idea. That's yeah. There's nothing else to explain. It's as much people will know.
Yeah, I would assume Trump would be on board with this, exposing the Epstein Files, but he wants to keep them hidden forever because apparently Epstein committed suicide. Apparently Epstein just couldn't take it anymore. Apparently Epstein was not killed, according to news sources. I'm not going to say what I think because this episode might get cut off again. But we know what I think. We know what Rick thinks. We even know what you think. And you're probably a bit mutual. You're not really you're probably a bit mutual, but at the same time, evidence points back to him. But then again, who knows? We're just guessing. We're just assuming. We're not making any truth claims because in reality, we're not really sure. These are simply just claims. So, but anyways, yeah. The point is, why would Trump hide that? Why would Trump want to cover that up? Shouldn't the world know how Epstein and the other celebrities on that list get down with the younger generation? How they're trying to be hip with them? How they're trying to. That's all. That's as far as I can go with that. But you get the idea.
Yes, I do.
But yeah. Anyways, so is there any more on the article?
There could be. Yeah, there is more in the story. All right. Many in the MAGA movement are in a state of anger and disbelief over the Justice Department and FBI's memo disclosing that there was no evidence of a Jeffrey Epstein client list that incriminated powerful people amid his perpetration of child sexual abuse. Among those was right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, who posted a video showing his raw reaction to the memo.
No evidence, huh? Then why were we talking about this for the past, how long has it been, 10 years now since Epstein has died? Probably more than that. Why was this even in the news then, if there's no evidence? Oh, there was evidence. They got rid of it, but there was evidence. If there isn't any evidence now, it was there. They killed the evidence. That's the thing. They killed it. Oh yeah, Trump was on that island. He was probably like, trying to get down with the younger generation, trying to feel like a young man again, because he's an old man. He's a 70-year-old man. But once again, who knows? Maybe Trump wasn't on that island. Maybe he just genuinely does not care to talk about Epstein. Or
Violent protests erupt in Mexico City over gentrification and tourism.
of course, all right. Let's hear what this is about. Or well, we know what it's about. Let's hear how this happened.
Protests in Mexico City over the weekend turned violent as locals demonstrated against gentrification and mass tourism. Protests blamed rising rents and displacement on an influx of U.S. tourists and foreign residents. Authorities condemned the violence but acknowledged concerns about housing affordability.
Well, hey, Mexicans are coming to our country. Why not go to their country? I'm joking. But, look, man, in all seriousness, though, most people in like different countries have a right to be upset. I mean, like, dude, I mean, there are random people coming for like a temporary time, like, eating up all of our resources, taking our food, and, they're just slacking off. And they're just slacking off while, like, hardworking people of like a respected country gets nothing, and the tourists get everything. Or like, the immigrants, if anyone has immigrated from America to Mexico, get everything. And yeah, I'd say they have the right to protest. Will it do anything? Probably not. But they have the right to protest, and let's see if it does do something. Some protesters that we reported actually have done some damage, and what I mean by damage is like literally has done like made somewhat of a difference, or at least again. Let's see if this protest does the same thing. And yeah, I would say like everyone should just stay in their respective countries. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of tourists in New York as well. So, just either deal with it or try to get it fixed. And have your country and like I don't know, maybe limit like tourism. I don't know, it's like I think it would be great if like, America in general limited like, or like at least every state in America had a limit on how many people should come to the state each year. But at the same time, they won't do that because tourists are the ones who spend the most money. So I don't really see that happening because it would cost their business money. But hey, it is what it is.
And it was what it was.
Is there anything else in the news?
That is us. Peace.